Hello, Void. Back again. I threw a few quick ones up earlier today, but backlog is long, so away we go. Fiberizo at it once more, with my Void next to me.
Hello.
And this time, going back to the Untamed. Little clarification. That is the Untamed Mo Dao Zhu Shi, not the Untamed La Région Salvaje, which this one has 100% less tentacle monsters than that film.
There's another one?
The Untamed.
With tentacle monsters?
Yes.
Oh.
I reviewed it 6 months ago or so. So, there are some similarities. Sexual tension and then unhealthy relationships. And, yeah. But that one was it wasn't Brazilian. I think it was Argentina. Anyway, but less tentacle monsters. And the women who love them. And more over-the-top Chinese swordplay.
There was a horrifying blood pool, but that's not in the live action.
I suppose that wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we reviewed the manhwa of this a couple months ago.
A while ago.
Yep, and now we got the full series, which now in this version goes by The Untamed, while the other one just went by Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the same. I think it's the same title as the book.
I believe so. This one.
I don't know why they retitled this one, but they did.
I think I can't read the Chinese on the front, but I think the Chinese title is the same, but it's the American one. But I'm not 100%.
I think the Chinese title is Chen Jingling, I think.
It could be. I'm not sure on that. Anyway, came out 2019 and actually got a Netflix release, which was what got us actually to watch it for the first time.
What got me to watch it for the first time was seeing a bunch of people on the internet posting cool fan art, so I knew two things about this show when I decided to watch it, and that was it was gay and full of necromancy. So, and it looked really pretty, so that was enough.
And I will say this has about 90% more gayness than the other Untamed.
Only 90?
Only 90. Alright, so, but enjoyed it enough to get a physical copy. Well, and as for plot, we already covered pretty well in the manhwa. It is more or less the same, but that one was, 20-some episodes overall?
I think somewhere in
I
there.
think it was about 26 episodes.
It wasn't very long.
This is 50 episodes.
And each episode is much longer. The manhwa ones are like 20-ish minutes. These ones are
about
45 to 50.
About 40 or 50. So, adds considerably more content. And they are able to take their time and really let the story grow, particularly the relationships, and I am really liking that. Though anyone looking to get into this one should be braced for the beginning.
They just throw you in there.
Yeah, they throw you in at kind of the middle end of the story, and actually about the middle of the story, and tell you to swim before flashing back.
So the first 3 episodes are bewildering because it just tosses you in there. It begins with the death of one of the main characters. That's not a spoiler. It is in the first 30 seconds. And then it kind of goes with him getting resurrected. Again, first 30 seconds. He's confused about what's happening. The audience is, we were confused about what's happening. And so the first 3-ish episodes are him trying to figure out what's going on after he gets resurrected.
Then
it flashes back.
For 40 episodes?
For 40, yeah, it's a very 30 or it's a long flashback.
So it's long enough for the first time you kind of forget that you're in a flashback until it catches up. Then you're like, oh yeah.
It's nice because the first time you watch it, you don't really understand what's happening the first few, and then it kind of, as it goes back on the flashback, you're like, oh, that's that person. That's that person. Oh no. That's when that happens. And it is a kind of a cool experience in that. It's also, if you're not familiar with wuxia or xianxia tropes, it's a little confusing because they don't, they don't explain. It was intended for an audience that is familiar with those tropes.
Like, every vampire movie doesn't explain the vampire rules. Every werewolf movie doesn't explain the werewolf rules, because it's so ingrained in the culture that you kind of know that a werewolf is going to be hurt by silver. This one, they expect you to know what a golden core is.
Also, everyone has, like, 3 names, which I'm not sure if that's a common trope or not. I think it is for the historical ones, at least.
I think we covered that a little in our last review, but that was a while ago. I don't really remember. But, which, in this one, they do make a point of at least having a name with a subtitle pop up for some of the characters, which is helpful. Especially when it will actually say one, like, given name and then courtesy name. I still don't know exactly what the difference is, because I can't tell which one's supposed to be which for familiarity, because it's hard to tell sometimes with which character is using which one.
I think, like, I'm trying to remember, because I did look it up a while ago, but sometimes it doesn't always make sense with who uses what. Like, you would think... You would think, like, Wei Wuxian's siblings would use the more familiar one with him, but they only seem to use the formal one, and some people you don't even get.
Which
like,
is why it throws me off with that.
I don't know. There's I'm sure there's a reason, but it's not one I'm familiar enough with the conventions to pick up on.
Okay, so because there are some significant differences in the plot, try to sum that up a little bit. So, like last time, we already discussed, main character got resurrected, and then we're flashing back to essentially his training in the essentially art of cultivation, fighting spirits, monsters, demons, the like, as well as his essential studying of crafty tricks, or less common ways of going about things. Mostly due to the
titular demonic cultivation.
Yes. A lot of it's spurred on by the advent of the Wens, the Wen clan essentially working to exterminate everybody. Shit goes down. One of the main differences here is, while in the original novel, I believe, and the manhwa we reviewed before, this one they're also after a really powerful artifact called the Yin Iron, which essentially they don't really explain exactly what it does, other than it's really powerful, but it's going to corrupt the hell out of you. Essentially, when they have a piece of it, they can turn people into puppets. They can control things. It's a lot of... They don't really exactly explain it, but you get the impression that this is some bad voodoo.
Yeah, that was added for... It's not in the book or the manhwa. Well, a lot of things that were in the book weren't in the manhwa either, but... yeah, it was a subplot that's only for the live action.
And they also introduced some of the characters a little bit earlier, particularly Wen Ning, my boy, and his sister. Which names are escaping me all of a sudden. Wen Qing.
The interesting thing with that is that, like, usually when they adapt a book into, like, a movie or a TV show or something, like, things get compressed and cut out, and, like, sometimes characters don't get the amount of time they do in the book. This does the opposite with certain characters, which is really interesting. Like, his sister, Zhang Yanli, didn't have too much page time in the book either, and here she's more of a I mean, the same stuff happens, but she's a lot more, like, in the background, just talked about rather than actually appearing. And yeah, Wen Qing and Wen Ning get a lot more time to, like, develop as characters.
Wen Ning's my boy.
I love that guy. He's great. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how there's actually more character development for some of them in the show versus the book.
Well, it wasn't a very long book, I believe.
It was originally, I don't know how long it is. It was originally serialized online, and then now it's being printed in the US
I suppose
too.
it is a series of a couple books.
Well, it's like one, but it's got different volumes.
Yeah.
It's like one overarching story, but...
50 episodes definitely was enough to do it a decent amount of justice, especially since they were able to expand on a lot of the characters. Like, I don't think they take away anything, but they mostly just add, I think.
Well, they don't take away anything with one notable exception.
One notable exception.
Hi,
Chinese censorship laws.
So the book is as I think we mentioned this in the other review, but
Probably.
it's gay romance.
It's gay!
And the laws don't let that be depicted on TV in China, so they What they did is go with a lot of subtext, which is really interesting in the ways they did. And there's like a lot
It's
of
subtext
metaphor,
that is
and
glowing neon and is underlined like 3 times.
it's like
It's the
got a
least
very,
subtle subtext
it's
I've
got
ever
a
seen.
very thin layer of no, they're just bros, guys. But like no, they're definitely
That's
not.
a lot of long glances to you, bro.
So they like, and that's not. I'm sure like the people involved with the show like did that on purpose. Like it's not one of those instances where they're just like unintentional subtext. Like they knew what they were doing there.
And they, in fact, seem to kick it up by 11 by giving every character those tropes.
Yeah, like I was like I saw the show before I read the book. And I thought that given the censorship that had to happen, and some things that happened with Lan Wangji's brother and this another character, Meng Yao.
Yo! That guy.
I thought those two were a couple in the book, and then I read the book. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're not. It's just the main two. But that was how much subtext was in there. They just threw it on everyone.
Yep, pretty much the entire male cast is pretty well queer coded. It's.
Wen Cheng as a lesbian is pretty popular interpretation as well.
I can see that.
Amongst the fandom, yeah.
I can see that. I mean, some characters do still have some bisexual sexual tension also in there. But I'm, with the exception of maybe, oh god, names are suddenly escaping me whenever I do it off the cuff like this. Mian Mian. I'm pretty sure Mian Mian is like the one straight character in the show. And she is pretty much like the only lady who actually survives till the end, just because she decides to walk out of the story about halfway through.
Yeah, she knew it was up. She's like, I'm out.
2 middle fingers in the air, she's done, and I respect her for it.
I love her.
Yeah. So overall, it's a great 8 watch, but it is a long one, so you have to kind of strap in for it.
There are some dodgy effects at some point. Like you can tell they did what they could with the budget, but it's something like the costumes and stuff are all gorgeous,
costumes are
and
great.
like the locations. Certain effects are a little.
The wire working is very good also.
The wire working is super cool, yeah.
But I will say I think the worst effect was the wolf.
Yeah, that was the one that actually made me chuckle. Like, oh, is this one? It was pretty early on too, because there are later effects that are actually decent. So I think
I will say the CG on the tortoise of slaughter was a little dodgy.
Like a little bit.
It wasn't as bad as the wolf though.
The wolf, that just did make me
I will
chuckle.
say I think they tried to do practical effects with it, and I'm not sure if they should have in this case. As this big stuffed animal wolf menacing the main character, it is a pretty amusing effect. And another thing that they really toned down is number of people.
Yeah, well, it's a running joke. Like a lot of the dramas will do that. Like, oh, he killed 1,000 people. Like
there were 10 guys there.
You have 10 extras. But yeah, there's so like they didn't show a lot of they more like imply some of the battles that happened just because I guess they didn't have that many people to have these swaths of thousands.
Or they'll reference a fight you saw and talk about hundreds or thousands of people having been there. Like, I'm pretty sure I could count all of them.
Yeah, like you did not have that many extras.
And the soundtracking, however, is beautiful.
Oh, the music is gorgeous. I love it. I listen to it all the time for writing and thinking and stuff. It's great.
So, MacGuffin scale, what you giving?
You know, I went back and forth on this one because there are, like, objectively, like, it can be a little difficult to get into if you just dive right in, especially if you're not familiar with the tropes, because the beginning is kind of confusing.
I will say the second watch on this, you pick up so much
more.
Oh, yeah.
It's great for a second watch because you pick up on everything that you missed the first time around, which is fun.
Especially on our boy.
Yeah.
I won't spoil that one.
But, you know, it's pretty to look at, except for a few dodgy effects. The characters are all really interesting and really compelling, and it's a good, like, even the characters that are awful, with a couple exceptions, like, you can kind of understand how they got that way and, like, why they're doing what they're doing, especially the one who ends up being the primary antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Some of the Wens, it's less clear.
Yeah,
they are just assholes to be
they're
assholes.
Just assholes. But
with the exception of our favorite Wens. But like when Rohan is
he's just like your standard like evil.
And I guess
evil
you could,
king guy.
I guess you could say
like,
his
evil
sons
tyrant.
are evil just because of the way they were treated by him. But man, you really were waiting for them to get their comeuppance.
Yeah, it is very satisfying though when they do. It's like, yeah, get them. um, but it's like one of the things that has really good compelling characters, and like I've read so many essays of people just talking about like these people and their choices and going back and forth on like the various meta parts of the show and the book, and like I think I'm going 9.
You want 9?
It's a high one for me. Yeah, yeah.
Not quite the 10? I was wondering if you were going to go all the way there.
No, because there are like 10 I try to reserve for. I don't know.
I've only given out a handful of 10s.
I try to. I'm very sparing with 10s.
This is my 400th something anniversary. I could probably count on one hand how many 10s I've given out. So there have been a couple. But yeah, this one, for me, it's an 8. It's up there.
Yeah. But yeah, I do recommend checking it out, especially if you're interested in the xianxia genre, or just cool historical, well, quasi-historical. It's not really, they're not really set in any one period specifically. It's just kind of like a general, like a lot of European fantasy is like, yes, the medieval age. That is just this like weird fantasy medieval age that's not actually real history. It's kind of like that. But yeah, it is really cool, especially if you like martial arts stuff. It's less martial. There's some fighting in it, but it's a lot more focused on the characters.
The characters and the political maneuverings, and a lot of people just try to outmaneuver everyone else.
Yeah, so if you like that, plus a lot of homoerotic subtext, check it out. Check out the book if you want to make it less subtext.
Alright, and again, that's Untamed 2019. It is, I believe, still up on Netflix. If you look for the Untamed on Shudder, you're going to get an entirely different experience as before.
It's the one that's 50 episodes and in Chinese.
That one, the gay subtext isn't exactly gay. There is actually gay sex on screen. But that one, again, involves a tentacle monster making everybody horny.
Is the tentacle monster the one that's gay?
No, actually. Well, I think he's equal opportunity because they don't show him with a guy, but they show him with a lady. No. You see you see a man getting in an affair with a lady's husband, who that guy himself is the guy he's having an affair with is a complete asshole. So you're just waiting for that guy to get his comeuppance. But it's a complicated movie.
Just curious as to where the tentacles come in, but we can talk about that later.